Grab your drinks and have a seat. It's time for serial killers.
Hello, we're here
Hello.
as per usual. I'm T,
And I'm Jay.
and we're here to talk about serial killers
Yeah.
and only serial killers
And drinks.
and drinks.
I feel like it's been a while since we've been in here.
I do too, and I think it's because the last time that we recorded, it was like we recorded earlier than
Yeah.
normal, and then to be honest with you, we are recording this very late. Not late, like we're in the morning, but we're very late. Like
But somebody
It's
has
gotta
to
be
edit
edited.
and do everything
Yeah.
and get it posted tonight.
yeah, it's got to be edited by midnight tonight. And so we're just now doing it. But that's because we went out and had fun yesterday with one of my friends, and we met her boyfriend, and we had some drinks, and we had a good time. And like, that's more important to me. Sorry, but that's more important to me than recording my podcast, because we have all week to record it. It was just we chose to wait too long.
What are you sipping on this morning?
What am I sipping on this morning? In my cup that says in my Gigi era, because I'm a Gigi to a grand dog who's actually laying on Jay's lap right now.
And when you envision a dog laying on my lap, she is a full-grown pitty.
She weighs 80 pounds.
Yeah, so there you go. This
She's
is not a lap dog.
No, she's not
but
a
she thinks she is.
thinks she's a lap dog. This is Olive, which we've talked about Olive on Fatal, or on not Fatal, but on Crime Bitches a lot, because it's Sierra's dog. We take care of her basically every day.
She's, as people had COVID, baby, she's our COVID dog.
She's our COVID dog. She is.
To the fact that when we decided to get her, we got her from the Humane Society, and the way we picked her up, it's like we filled out all the papers and stuff online, but then when we went to pick up the dog, we drove up to the place. We had a scheduled time. There was a sticker out on the concrete, probably 10, 15 feet in front of the front door. And then they would come to the door, allow the dog outside the door, but they wouldn't come out. And then they'd unleash the dog, and you basically had to grab the dog before the dog ran away. Because it was during the peak time of COVID and we couldn't be near each other. And yeah, so she came out the door, she ran over to me, and I scooped her up and threw her in the truck with my daughter, and it's all history from there.
Here we go. And now she's 5 years old, a big beefcake, and she's a staple of our household, even though she does not live here.
And she is the biggest sissy.
She's
for a
scared
big
of
dog.
everything.
She gets scared of everything.
It's really sad, actually.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what am I drinking out of my Gigi cup? I am drinking a sugar-free almond iced Americano made with my Nespresso machine.
Yay, Nespresso.
How about you?
And if you want to send us pods, we're out. Hashtag Nespresso.
We are out. We have to go buy some. What are you drinking?
As we say, we're out of pods. I took the last one, and I am just having a nice warm cup of coffee with my French vanilla Chobani creamer. So just a nice little cup of coffee this morning.
What kind of creamer? What flavor?
Oh, French vanilla.
Because I know that you had tried the coffee cake one.
Yeah, the cinnamon coffee cake. Man, that stuff gave me acid reflux like a mother.
So but you like sweet cream and French vanilla, right?
Yeah, French vanilla is my favorite, but after a while I get kind of bored from it, and then it's on to the sweet cream.
Got it. All right. So I think that's all there is to say. I don't really have anything much to talk about. Oh, I do have one small thing to talk about. I mean, it's not small, but it pertains to true crime, current true crime, because y'all know that we like to talk a little bit about true crime current. We just found out, so in the Portland metro area of Oregon, there is a guy named Jesse Calhoun who had been arrested. Like, he was arrested. He was already in jail, I believe. And they have now charged him with a 4th murder. He is a suspected serial killer that they are, well, now suspected serial killer because they've charged him now with 4 murders. And I'm going to look more into, the whole thing behind it. But basically he had actually been, this is from like the bodies were found in 2023, but they were like scattered everywhere and they didn't know if they were connected. And then they ended up being able to connect them. And now this guy, Jesse Calhoun, has now been arrested. And they have now charged him with a total of 4 murders so far. They keep calling him a suspected serial killer. And I'm like, bro, if he killed 4 people, he's a serial
killer. Yeah.
Like 2 or more, buddy. 2 or more
and
with that cooling off period. And there was cooling off periods between these bodies being found. So he's most definitely, I'm assuming they're using suspected because he's not found guilty yet.
Right.
That's my guess. But I'm going to be following this story closely because, as y'all know, we live in Washington. So we're the state that borders Oregon. But also, it's a modern day serial killer, which we don't find as many in this world anymore. So I'm very thoroughly interested in this
Maybe
one.
you can go interview him for the podcast.
That would be so fun. People think I'm crazy, but that would be so fun. So anyways, that is the most modern, updated, whatever. However, I know we're not here to talk about somebody who is currently on trial for being a serial killer. So we'll talk about somebody else.
Who are we here to talk about?
We're talking about a man named Luis Garavito. Just a real quick trigger warning before we start this episode. I know we do this sometimes a lot, but these guys are grotesque as fuck. So this episode is going to deal with children, rape, torture, murder, and can get pretty fucking gruesome. So if you don't want to listen to that, totally fine. Just don't listen to the episode because sometimes that's even really hard. And we'll catch you next week.
All right.
Now his nickname is La Bestia, which is the beast. Tribalin, El Loco, Bonifacto Morera Liscano. If you can't figure it out already, this did not happen in the United States, okay? He has 138 to 300 or more victims. The murder date...
That is a lot of victims.
That is a lot. And hear this. His murder dates are 1992 to 1999. So only like an 8-year period that he killed that many people. His method of murder was stabbing. The location of his murders were Colombia, Ecuador. And the characteristics of his murders were rape, torture, dismemberment, and mutilation.
I feel like Colombian mafia.
No, it's not. It's not. It's,
wow.
Yeah. No. So, okay. We're going to just get into it. So Luis, I feel like it's Luis, honestly. So Luis was born January 25th, 1957 in Genova, Colombia. He was the oldest of 7 children, all boys. So he's the oldest of
Poor parents.
I know. Actually, being that I'm a parent of a parent of girl and a boy, I would prefer boys all day long. Girls have too much emotional fucking baggage for me as they're growing up. Not saying that girls are always like that, but going through those mid-teen years, those middle school times when the fucking emotions are through the roof, it ain't for me. It ain't for me. He grew up in a very rough household. He was neglected by his father, and he was physically and emotionally abused as well. He actually describes his father as a womanizer, and he said that he witnessed multiple fights between his parents. He said he had the misfortune of being in a family that spent its time arguing, fighting, and throwing words of great caliber. And the abuse was so bad that Luis and his family would hide from their father like all the time. Like anytime his father would start to get angry or if his father came home and he was in a mood, they would fucking hide. Now, the only interaction that Luis had with his father throughout like most of his childhood was purely for work-related purposes or if an errand needed to be ran. So like his father didn't love him. Like, I won't say he didn't love him. He didn't hug them. He didn't have conversations with them. He didn't bond with them in any way other than...
It was more of a transactional relationship.
And it was a transactional relationship that benefited the father always. Now, Luis went to Simon Bolivar School in Sealand, and he was teased and ridiculed by the other kids at the school. And he truly struggled to learn in pretty much all subjects. Like he was not a good student. He was also nicknamed Garabato, which means squiggle. And it was because of his glasses. I have no idea why people call him Squiggle because of glasses, but that's what he was nicknamed. And his school years were full of bullying that full of bullying that he ended up spending pretty much every recess and any time he could alone because he was like, he hated his life.
That's fucked up.
We're going to side note this and say, don't be a fucking bully. Like, it's not nice. It causes more harm than anybody could ever know.
Kids can be jerks.
Well, and it causes a lot of long-term issues that people don't understand. It causes a lot of fucking mental issues when you're bullied, because I know growing up, sure, Jay was bullied. I was not, but Jay was. And sure, some people turn out okay, but there's always these underlying issues that are formed because in your primitive learning years, you're being bullied and treated like shit. It's going to cause damage.
Yeah.
And I don't take kindly to bullies. So if you bullied my husband, come talk to me.
I'd like them to come talk to me now. I'm a little different now.
You're a little bigger.
I'm a little different now. I was just a wee lad back then.
So in 1968, he actually is removed from school in the 5th grade by his father. Now, this was not because he was being bullied. As like I can tell you, I can attest right now that we actually removed our daughter from school in 4th grade because she was being bullied. And we moved to a completely different school. That is not why his father pulled him out, like a good parent. His father pulled him out because he needed Luis to financially help the family out and go get a job. In the 5th grade. How old are you? Like 11 in the 5th grade? So he had to go get a job. Now, this also led to his father telling him that he is not allowed to have friends and he is not allowed to pay attention to girls because he needed him to solely focus on making money for the family. That is your little reason why I'm taking you out of school, is for you to go get a job. And if you get distracted, we're going to have problems. Then in 1969, Luis is taken to a routine vaccination, a visit where he was going to get vaccinated for a routine vaccination. And while he is there, he is actually molested by the man that was in charge of the appointment. And it also happened to be that this man was his neighbor and was supposedly a super religious man. Now, according to Luis, after this incident, because of what had happened, he actually killed and dissected 2 birds because he was angry and frustrated. I'm not going to say I condone that, but I fucking understand.
No, but like, I get
a
it.
Trusted individual who is a medical professional who is supposed to be doing something like giving you a vaccination, then decides to molest you, and also has a neighbor and a super religious guy that you're supposed to trust. I can understand.
But I don't know if
I don't think killing
the right reaction, right?
No, of course not. But that right there tells you
I'm so angry.
That's kind of a
yeah,
precursor of why he might potentially be a serial killer. Then he said that he also, through life, he also started to fondle and molest his younger siblings. It's a very common thing when you are somebody who has been molested. You typically, especially if you're younger, you typically do those behaviors to others. He also said that he had molested a 6-year-old boy during this same time. So he went from being molested to killing animals to fondling his younger siblings to molesting a 6-year-old boy, all within the time frame that this all happens. Now, his family says that he did become withdrawn, became extremely aggressive, and seemed like he was ready to take revenge on the world also at this time. So something clearly did happen at that time.
Yeah, which those reactions I think make sense.
Right.
Right.
Now, in 1971, his family moves to Trujillo. And once they're living there, he was shown porn by one of the neighbors, to which he was completely grossed out by. So 1971, so he's 14 years old. He moves into this new town or this new area. And one of the neighbors is like, come here, bud. You want to see something? And he shows him porn. And he's like, that's fucking disgusting. So because he was grossed out by it, the neighbor ends up beating the shit out of him and sexually assaulting him. Because, that's the right fucking reaction. And around this time, again, he's 14, he begins to drink. Again,
Like, what's up with the neighbors though? Like the first neighbor,
I'm assuming they live in shitty areas.
right? Like, well, I mean, back then you couldn't do it, but now like you can search,
Yeah.
pedophiles and stuff like that. But like, oh, here's a big dot of pedophiles. We're gonna live right in the middle.
Well, you
like,
think about it. If he was pulled out of school when he was in 5th grade and never got to finish school because he had to help make money for his family, my guess is they lived in they lived in areas that they could afford to live in, which was probably where a lot of criminals, right? Because when you're a criminal and you get out of jail, you have nothing. So they probably were just put in these areas with just some really shitty fucking people. Now, in 1972, he actually tries to have a sexual relationship with a woman, to which she does not want to. And he ends up trying more aggressively to have a sexual relationship with her. And she's like, get the fuck off me. So he essentially tries to rape this woman. So around the same time, again, he's 15 years old. He gets kicked out of his house by his mother because he is caught trying to sodomize a 5-year-old boy. Good on you, Mom, because I'd kick my fucking son out too. But I would kick him out for good and never let him come back to my house. And I actually would have turned him into the cops. I don't think I would have just kicked him out
all the way down to the police station.
Yeah, I don't know why nobody fucking turned his ass in, but okay. Now in 1973, he tries to assault a 6-year-old boy at a train station in Bogota. Now the boy screams and Luis is detained. And he literally tells the station police that are there detaining him that he only wanted to slightly molest that little boy.
Oh, just a little touchy.
Because they told him they were going to press rape charges against him. He was like, no. I was only going to slightly molest him. Now, according to Luis, he was later reprimanded by his father for not picking a girl. Let me repeat that. He was later reprimanded by his father, which I was like, good on you, buddy. But then it was because he did not pick a girl. Like, fuck you, guy.
Like,
fuck you, guy.
Look, if you're going to do bad shit, just don't do bad shit and be gay.
Yeah, well, for real, that's part of the issue is his family
Right.
had a big problem with him, with the potential that he is gay. Now, here's where I'm already kind of like, what the fuck? So he gets caught trying to assault a 6-year-old boy, gets held, gets taken into custody, and no fucking charges are pressed. He got caught by his mom trying to do something to a 5-year-old boy, and no charges are pressed. People, are we seeing a pattern with all these serial killers? Like, people are not holding these people accountable for their nasty actions. So at some point, he does actually move back in with his family. Like, he's let back into the family, and then he is kicked out again. But this time, they kick him out because they didn't agree with his homosexual lifestyle. And I'm sitting here going, backtrack that. He doesn't have a homosexual lifestyle. He's a fucking pedophile. Literally, all of the people that he has tried to be in supposed relationships with are children.
They're bypassing the age and they're just looking at the gender.
Yeah, because you think about it. You think about it. He is now, at this point, he is 17 years old. And he is molesting or attempting to molest children.
Yeah, like not people that are close to his age.
Not 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. He's like 5, 6, and 7-year-old
into the single
kids.
digits.
And so it's like you kicked him out because you didn't like that he was gay. And it's like, well, actually, how about you didn't like he was a pedophile? Because that seems more realistic as to why you would kick somebody out of your house.
Yeah.
So Luis goes on. He gets a job. And he is problematic at his job as well. He gets into physical altercations with clients, coworkers, customers, and bosses. And as you can guess, he obviously loses his job because he can't seem to keep his shit together. Now, he ends up becoming a street vendor who actually sells religious icons. And he also at one point was a migrant worker. And he had developed platonic relationships with older women because he would go to their homes and like do not really yard work, but work around their homes for them because they weren't, he would go and help them out. And so he never had any sexual relationships with these women, but he actually got pretty close to these women. So he would go to their homes and do stuff with them, for them around their homes. And then they would like fully trust him. Luis ends up meeting and falling in love with a woman named Luz Mary Ocampo Orozco. Now, she was a single mother and a teacher.
It's a long name.
And their relationship does not last very long. And he ends up having another girlfriend after that, who was also a single mother as well. So he like
And
falls.
what's his age at this point?
My guess he's at least 18 because they didn't have dates on when he falls in love with these people. But basically, so he gets kicked out of. Remember, he got kicked out for being a homosexual. He got kicked out of his house for being gay, but yet he goes on and has relationships with women.
Yeah, because he's either doing it as a front, so
Because he's
people
a
don't know
fucking
that.
pedophile. He's
Right.
not. He's not homosexual. He's a fucking pedophile.
But what I'm saying is he's doing it to show like his family and everybody else, like, look, see, it's
I don't think
girls.
that's
like
why.
girls.
I don't think that's why. I think that he is one of those. I think he is one of those people who is a true pedophile, meaning that he is attracted to children, boys, and then he also maybe likes girls too. But he's not gay. I mean, he's not gay because he's not attracted to men his own age.
No, it's just any child.
Yes. Well, not any child, any male child. So he has these relationships, and the girls that he picks to be with, both of them are single parents. And it is actually reported that he took extremely good care of the children. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course he would.
And that he was a good boyfriend when he was sober. Okay. Now, even his ex-partners actually agreed that they did say that when he did have a violent temper, and he would be in occasional drunken states where he threatened to murder his father, and he would also physically abuse his girlfriends because he would be jealous, he would be belittling, and he would be controlling. And but it was only when he was drinking. If he wasn't drinking, he was good, which I swear is like the age-old tale. You know,
yeah.
like
he was a great guy when he wasn't drunk.
Right. If he
but
wasn't
how often
drinking,
was he not drunk?
Well, they said occasionally. So to be fair, it did sound like he was not drunk more often than he was drunk. Like it sounds like they had pretty decent relationships. But because of his drunken episodes, he would get kicked out of their houses multiple times. And then they would take him back, and then, it was like a whole cycle. Now, in the 1980s, he actually decides that he's going to take it upon himself to get psychiatric care at the San Juan de Dios Hospital, which I actually, good on you, because you have some fucking problems. Now, he was repeatedly hospitalized throughout the spring of 1980, and he would express, when he was in the psychiatric facility, he would express his wish to die because his life was worth nothing. He was treated for depression, but there was also evidence of psychosis and bulimia, and he was prescribed an antipsychotic medication. He obtains a job where he has allotted a 2-hour lunch break, and he claims that during those 2 hours, so as he's in the 80s, he's going in and out of this, psychiatric facility. He also now has a job. Well, at this job, he gets 2-hour lunch breaks. And he later on in life claims that during those 2-hour lunch breaks, he would take those 2 hours to molest children on the street in the neighboring area. He says that he had just the urge to molest children while working. So when he wasn't working, he didn't have that urge. But only when he was at work did he have that urge, which I call fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's not like that.
He eventually starts carrying razor blades, candles, and lighters to torture his victims. And apparently, he would feel guilt after the incidences, and he would write their names in a notebook and then pray over them. And he also reportedly had nightmares about his victims as well. So he most definitely has like an internal battle of some sort going on. Now, between 1980 and 1992, it is said that Luis molested, raped, and tortured an estimated minimum of 200 youth children.
That's so crazy. During
that time, he also spent 5 years actively under psychiatric care. So he was getting psychiatric care and molesting children at the same time. He had also attempted suicide several times as well. So he just has a lot of shit going on in his brain. That's basically what he had been telling. And I almost wonder sometimes if he was telling the psychiatrist this while he was in psychiatric care. Like I almost wonder if he was being like that was part of what he was talking about. It was also noted that wherever Luis was living during that period, so during that 12-year period, the molestation complaints grew substantially. So they could actually link the city he was living, or like the area he was living in, with a heightened amount of children, little boys saying that they had a man, either touch them inappropriately or attempt to, and it was always where he was living at the time. Now, Luis did attempt his first murder after supposedly using a Ouija board and being possessed by the devil, according to him.
Oh, shit.
He said that the devil told him, kill with killing, many things will come. So on October 1st, 1992, Luis lures a young boy to the Malia Hotel sector in Boulevard, Colombia, and he is actually interrupted trying to kill the boy by police. Now, here's the thing, because he's doing this shit like in the alley. Like he does this shit on the streets, right? So he's attempting to kill this boy. The police see him and they stop him. And then they beat the absolute fucking shit out of him. And they steal 1,000 pesos, a watch, and a ring from him. And then...
But don't arrest him.
They did. They brought him to the police station and then let him go. Like, why the fuck are you letting him go? You just literally attempted murdered. Like, you could have put his ass in jail. So but again, I know that they have some corrupt police over there. So I'm assuming the police let him go because they stole all that shit from him. So they're like, well, goodbye. Now, we're getting into the murders. So Luis Garavito's victims were mostly found on the streets, and most of them were boys that came from poor homes or no homes at all. They were generally between the ages of 6 and 16, and most of them were lighter-skinned individuals with blue eyes or green. He would also lure them away from wherever they were, so he'd find these random kids who, I don't know how he knew that they were homeless or super poor, I'm assuming just by their look.
Yeah.
And he would lure them away from wherever they currently were. He would offer them like money or food or small gifts, or even like promising them like, hey, I have a job that you can do to earn some money. And oftentimes he would be disguised as a priest, a vendor, or another authority type figure. So these kids would be very trusting of him. He would then walk with them until the kids kind of grew tired of walking. So he'd be walking with them throughout these areas, trying to find secluded areas. And when the kids were kind of like, okay, like, ooh, we're going kind of far. That at that point, then he would rape the children and kill them by cutting their throats. Now, the bodies were usually dismembered, and many of the bodies showed signs of torture. Now, most of his victims had no dental records or fingerprint records, so they are not identifiable, which is why I'm giving you that for the murders, because there are so many murders that he committed that they don't have. Unfortunately, there is not a list of 300 people's names because they were not able to identify a good majority of them. However, there are some that we can talk about. So his first victim was on October 4th, 1992. He saw 13-year-old Juan Carlos walking near a bazaar. Now, Luis said the moonlight sparked something in him that reminded him of his childhood and enraged him. So he follows Juan and he offers him a job for 500 to 1,000 pesos. Juan agrees and walks with Luis to a remote area near the railroad tracks. Juan is later found with his teeth knocked out. He was also found with severe cuts to his rectum, his throat, and his genitals were severed. Now, supposedly, according to Luis, he blacked out. When he woke up the next morning, he cried at the sight of the blood on his clothes. So according to him, he doesn't remember doing that specific murder. But when he woke up in the morning and he had blood on his clothes, he knew he had done something and he cried about it. Should be doing a lot more than crying, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
6 days later, Juan kills another boy, Jahan Alexander Penarada. He was 12 years old. So he kills him, but I don't have details on it, but he is found dead. He kills him. In 1993, Luis lures 8 kids that were ages 9 to 11 from a local school. Now, I am very unclear on whether he did this all at once or like if he did them one at a time. I'm guessing he did it one at a time over like a period of time, because I do think it would be really hard to lure 8 kids away from a school and kill all of them at once. Yeah. I just feel like that would be really hard to do.
Yeah, I feel like one of them's getting away.
Right. So I think that they're saying that over this period of time in 1993, he had lured 8 different kids, ages 9 to 11, from a local school. He would lure them away on different like days. So he ends up murdering Henry Giovanni Garcia, Marco Aurelio Castano, Juan David Cardenas, Jaime Orlando Papayan, and 3 unidentified children in southeast Bogota. So he had killed all these children. Luis then moves onto the Meissen neighborhood, where he kills 2 additional children as well. All of this happens again in 1993. He then murders 13-year-old Mauricio Mondero Meija. Now, that was all in 1993. Then in 1994, Luis lures a 12-year-old boy who had fallen asleep on a bus. So Luis gives the kid brandy, brings him to a secluded area. Before he can start attacking him, he actually smells like this really fucking just foul ass odor. And he discovers underneath the boy, where he had like pushed the boy on the ground, a mass grave. So he had put the little boy on top of like a mass grave. Immediately after this, the child, because he lets go of the kid, because he's looking at this mass grave, the kid grabs the knife out of Luis's hand, because Luis had him at knife point, and the kid actually severs Luis's tendons in his left hand.
Damn.
He fights for his fucking life. He is overpowered by Luis, and he is killed.
Hey, way to put up a fight.
For real,
Like,
this 12-year-old boy, right? February 4th, 1994, Luis lures 13-year-old Jaime Andres Gonzalez from the Plaza de Bolivar to a sugarcane field. He then molests and murders him there. January 12th of 1997, Luis murders an 8-year-old boy and then murders 2 more young boys. It has also been said that Luis murdered in Ecuador during the summer of 1998 as well, and also in Venezuela. Luis was arrested on April 22nd, 1999. He was arrested on suspicion of attempted rape of a 12-year-old boy. A 16-year-old boy had actually heard the struggle between Luis and the 12-year-old boy. And this teen, like, I don't know if he's like peeks around the corner or whatever, but he ends up seeing this confrontation going down. And this 16-year-old boy decides he's going to throw stones at Luis and start yelling and cursing at him to get him to stop, which then Luis stops trying to attack the 12-year-old boy and turns to chase the 16-year-old boy. So both boys, the 16-year-old boy basically runs with the 12-year-old boy. They run together and they end up in a farmhouse where they come up to in contact with this 12-year-old little girl. And I don't know if she like hides them or whatever, but she helps them. So Luis actually ends up showing at this farmhouse as well. And he's talking to this 12-year-old girl and he's like asking her if she's seen these boys, and he's being super fucking aggressive. But again, do you notice how he didn't attack her?
Yeah, because she's a girl.
So he's being really nasty to her. And so she ends up telling him like, yes, okay, I saw them. Yes. And she ends up pointing him to the woods. And she's like, they went that way. They went into those woods. And he said, okay. And so he runs into the woods. While he's in the woods, he gets lost. And she actually calls the police. The cops come up. They're talking to her. And she's like, I told him, that they were in there. So the cops go in and they start searching the woods. And they end up finding Luis. But he tells them, oh, I'm not Luis. I'm a politician. And I'm just out here surveying the land and seeing what needs to be done in this area. And the cops are like, bullshit, bro.
Yeah. A politician. Like,
yeah, that's what he fucking tells them.
Yeah.
So they don't believe him, obviously, and they arrest him anyways. And after they arrest him and bring him down to they bring him to the girl. She's like, yep, that's the guy. They bring him down. They find out, no, his name is Luis Garavito.
And he's like, fucking girls.
So on July 4th, 1999. So again, this was January 12th is when he got arrested. He was arrested in 97. This is now July 4th, 1999. He actually ends up confessing to murdering 140 children.
Yeah, damn.
Now, he remained under suspicion for 172 more murders. So police looked into it and found out that he had a special eye condition that, because his what do you call it? Confession, which always blows my mind. But when somebody confesses, it's like not enough to fucking do anything about it, or at least in Colombia, it wasn't. So they wanted to have a little bit more proof. Well, they find out that he has this special eye condition. And the way they find this out is they had found these glasses at one of the crime scenes. But they're special glasses for this special eye condition. And so they went into the prison because they already had suspicions that he was part of this whole, that he killed all these kids.
They're like, here, try these on.
No. They went in and told the whole prison, we're going to be doing a routine eye exam. This is part of being in prison. But what they actually did was the optometrist that was there was specifically looking for this eye condition, and he was the only one in the prison that had it. And so they were like, ha ha, sucker. Like, we got you. Yeah. So they also found that he had left bottles of brandy at some of the crime scenes, his underwear, and his shoes. So there's that. Also, DNA was found on the victims of him too, because you got to remember this is 99, so they're looking at DNA at this point. So they're able to conclusively state that he did do these murders. So he does go to trial, and he is found guilty of murder in 138 of the 270 cases that he was believed to be responsible for. So he was found guilty for 138 murders. And
hopefully death.
No, they don't have the death penalty. So in total, he was sentenced to 1,853 years plus 9 days in prison.
He should have just been put on the yard with a T-shirt that said, I killed 100 and whatever kids.
We're just so, all of the justice systems in all of the countries, they protect the inmates so much that it's kind of gross, because it's just like, nobody protected the people they killed. This is off topic, but that's like Brian Koberger. He admits to killing those 4 college students, and we just saw a thing where they were talking about what prison he's going to be in, and the fact that he's going to be in a solitary confinement, basically. Supermax, he's going to be protected. And even the warden said he's going to be a protected individual because he's such a high profile case and murderer. People want to kill him when he gets in here. So we have to make sure he's protected. It's like, why? Those 4 college students weren't protected. Why the fuck does he have to be protected? Anyways, so he gets sentenced again to 1,853 years plus 9 days in prison. But in Colombia, there are restrictions that he would only serve 30 years. They can only put somebody in prison for 30 years. It's not the only country that does it. And on top of that, because he assisted the police in finding the bodies, his sentence was reduced to 22 years. So in 2006, he did an interview, and he downplayed his crimes and how serious they were. He said that he wanted to go into politics when he got out of prison so he could help children who were abused. Like, the fuck? To top all of this off, Luis was kept in isolation for his protection for his time in prison. Now, his parole hearing was set for 2023. So in October of 2023, Luis died in the hospital. He was 66, and he never fucking got out of prison.
Good.
Thank God. I can honestly say this is one of those scenarios. I always am like, whatever. This is one of those scenarios where it was like, I do not understand how a country can look at a person like him and go, you're going to serve 30 years. How do we not? And how do you not make exceptions for 1 and for 2? Colombia. How has this not made you rethink your guys' cap on how long somebody can stay in prison? I think, if I'm not mistaken, Australia or something has the same rule where they can only stay in prison for 40 years. And it's like, what are you talking about? 40 years? This man took 138 children's lives for sure.
Before they could even start living their life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And in the most horrific fucking manner. So I don't understand how a country can look at that and go, yeah, okay, 22 because he helped us find bodies. What in the are you kidding me? Because, in 99, so how old would he have been? If he was born in 59 and it was 99, how old was he when he was arrested?
40.
So he's 40 years old, and you're telling him the most he can serve is 30 years, or 22. So he'll get out when he's 66 or 62 years old. That's still plenty of time for that motherfucker to go out and do the same shit.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, for him to have the audacity to say he wanted to go into politics to help children who are abused.
Yeah, it's just a slap in the face to the families.
And no, you're a pedophile, bro. You're going to, no. So that is the story of Luis Garavito. Do you want to hear the shots?
Yeah. I can't imagine what the shots would be, but let's hear it.
So after reading Mein Kampf, which is Hitler's autobiography, Luis became obsessed with the Nazi Party. He actually felt that Hitler and him had a lot in common. He even told investigators later that he liked the idea of concentration camps. Let that sink in. And he wanted to be a politician.
He wanted to be a politician. No.
Now, one of the reasons the murder of these children went relatively unnoticed throughout like the 9 years or 8 years that he was murdering was because at the time, Colombia was in a state of unrest. So during those 8 years, they were in a state of unrest. They were living in the aftermath of the Cold War. And then right after the Cold War, they started this war on drugs in the Colombia area. And there was constant violence between government agencies, drug traffickers, guerrilla groups, and other organizations. As a matter of fact, at the time, Medellin, Colombia was known as the murder capital of the world. And this is where a good handful of those murders happened. It was actually that city had the highest murder rate per capita in the world.
So they just ranked it up as, part of what was going on.
Right. Well, it was claimed that most of the time when they would find the murdered children, murdered children in general, not just ones that Luis had done, but just in general, when they would find children that had been killed, they would link it to the drug trade. And then sometimes they would link it to state or military violence as well. So it was kind of like a good way to hide his murders without getting caught because they just chalked it up as like, oh, it's just another one. It's like a casualty of war type thing, even though they were like, especially with the war on drugs, because at the time it was like the government agencies were going after the drug traffickers, the guerrillas and the drug traffickers were fighting. And so it was like children were just collateral damage, really.
Yeah.
Now, although I will tell you today that same city is actually known as a hipster spot for tourists. So it's no longer like that. So just so
good.
People know.
It's good that they flipped it around.
Yeah, they definitely flipped the script on that city. There were actually 4 surviving victims of Luis over his years of attacks. Just weirdly enough. And Luis had actually had a girlfriend who found a suitcase of his that contained pictures of young boys. And she brought it to the police, which is initially what put Luis on their radar, but they weren't sure at the time where he was. But that's why they were able to confidently be like, oh yeah, no, this guy did it, because she had found the suitcase. Inside the suitcase were all these young boys, and she was like, this is weird. And so she brings it to the police station, explains to them, tells them who it belongs to. And they're like, okay, cool. But they don't really know where he is. And then when they have their run-in with him, they're like, well, isn't this nice?
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it just makes you wonder if the girlfriend hadn't been snooping around and finding that piece, like how long would it have gone on for?
I actually agree, because the thing is, you think about it, when he got arrested, he was arrested only because he had attempted to rape the 12-year-old boy and that girl had called the cops. If they didn't have other things like the glasses or the suitcase with all the pictures, they wouldn't have pushed to try to get him for any murders. And then eventually, like I said, he ends up
he would have been out doing his thing.
Yeah. So anyways, that is the story of Luis Garavito, La Bestia. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging through this one. Kids, again, sucks, but we talk about them, but good thing he never made it out, because I don't think a person like that,
he couldn't change.
There's no way.
No, I mean, he'd be older, but I mean, if he kept himself fit in prison, he'd be just as dangerous outside. Especially being older, he could play the whole I'm a grandpa type thing.
Yep.
And really, get him. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you're following us, share us, do all the things that we talk about every single episode. Other than that, I'm just going to say thanks for listening to us talk about Luis Garavito, La Bestia. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Remember to lock your doors and bar your windows. Until next time.